In every football generation, there are moments when a new name begins to echo through stadiums, not through headlines or hype, but through the quiet certainty of talent revealed. Juventus, a club built on tradition and rebirth, has seen legends rise and fade. Yet every so often, a young player emerges who feels like a bridge between eras. In recent years, that bridge has taken the shape of Kenan Yildiz, a teenager whose journey from Regensburg to Turin has unfolded with precision, promise, and purpose. This is his story. Kenan Yildiz was born on May 4, 2005 in Regensburg, Germany, the son of a Turkish father and a German mother. Football entered his life not through academies or scouts, but through family. His father was the first coach, showing him the rhythm of the ball in backyards, teaching him what control meant long before formal training. From the age of 3, the game became his language. While other children chased after toys, Kenan chased after touches, learning to keep the ball close, to move with instinct. By 6, he was playing organized football for local academies, Salern Regensburg and Jan Regensburg. Even at that stage, those who watched him noticed something unusual. It wasn't only his technique, it was how he carried himself, calm, assured, as if the game slowed down around him. Scouts began to take note. Within a few years, Bayern Munich had heard the whispers. At just 7 years old, Kenan joined one of the most demanding youth systems in Europe. At Bayern, he developed under the intensity of elite coaching and competition. For nearly a decade, he rose through every youth level, refining not just his technical base, but his tactical awareness. Coaches admired his close control, his comfort in tight spaces, and his ability to drift between lines. He often captained his youth sides, not through volume or authority, but through consistency. He made football look simple. Even off the pitch, his name was growing. In 2015, Adidas representatives traveled to Regensburg, convinced they had found one of Germany's most gifted prospects. At just 10 years old, Yildiz became one of the youngest players ever to sign with the brand. It was symbolic, the kind of move that recognized both ability and market potential. Bayern saw a future first-team player. His rise continued through the 2021-22 season. Starting the campaign with the U17s, he recorded 4 goals and 5 assists in just 8 games before being promoted to the U19s at age 16. Even against older opponents, his rhythm didn't break. He added more goals and assists, but growth, both physical and professional, brought new challenges. A sudden height increase forced him to adjust to a new frame, and reports later emerged of tension behind the scenes, including claims of discrimination within the academy. By early 2022, his contract was running out, and Bayern were slow to respond. The club eventually offered a renewal, but the trust had faded. Kenan and his representatives declined. The decision shocked many inside the academy. After nearly a decade, he would leave as a free agent. Bayern officials claimed his demands were too high, but the truth was simpler. He couldn't see a clear path to the first team. That summer, while Matthijs de Ligt's transfer from Juventus to Bayern dominated headlines, a smaller, quieter deal was taking shape in the background. Juventus scouts had been tracking Yildiz for months. As negotiations for De Ligt progressed, Juve moved decisively for the teenager. On July 12, 2022, the club announced his signing. It was a statement about direction, a commitment to youth, creativity, and future identity. His first months in Turin began humbly, playing for the U19s at a youth tournament in Switzerland, where he was named player of the tournament after scoring 4 goals, including a hat trick in the final. From there, Juventus gradually integrated him into their second team, Next Gen, playing in Serie C. His performances caught attention again, blending technical flair with discipline. By the summer of 2023, Massimiliano Allegri had seen enough. Yildiz was invited to the senior squad's preseason tour of the United States, and a few weeks later, he made his Serie A debut against Udinese. He was 18. Allegri joked afterward that the young forward touched his hair more than the ball, but behind the humor was respect. Yildiz's confidence and movement stood out. Through the autumn, he became a regular substitute, gradually learning the rhythm of Italian football. Then came the breakthrough, his first start against Frosinone in December 2023. 12 minutes into the match, he scored a remarkable solo goal, becoming Juventus's youngest foreign goal scorer in Serie A history at 18 years and 233 days. The celebration was instinctive, tongue out, arms wide, a sign of pure joy rather than arrogance. That goal marked a turning point. Juventus fans, always cautious with young players, began to believe they were seeing something genuine. Over the remainder of the season, Yildiz contributed across league and cup competitions, displaying maturity beyond his years. His inclusion in Turkey's squad for Euro 2024 confirmed his rise to international prominence. Though Turkey exited in the quarterfinals, Yıldız's performances were viewed as a promise, a teenager competing with composure against Europe's best. When he returned to Juventus, the club was undergoing transformation. Allegri had departed, and Thiago Motta arrived with a philosophy built around fluidity and positional intelligence. For Yildiz, the timing was perfect. Motta valued technical forwards who could press, combine, and interpret spaces rather than fixed positions. Over the summer, Juventus extended Yıldız's contract to 2029 and, more symbolically, handed him the number 10 shirt. That number carries weight in Turin. It is more than fabric. It is memory. Roberto Baggio wore it. Alessandro Del Piero defined it. Paul Pogba and Paulo Dybala carried it briefly. Now, at 19, Yildiz inherited it, not as a coronation but as a challenge. The gesture showed Juventus's faith in their new generation and their willingness to let a teenager represent their identity. The comparison with Del Piero was inevitable. Every young forward who brings elegance to Juventus draws that parallel. But with Yildiz, it resonated deeper. Both share an effortless poise, a sense of balance before striking the ball, a calm under pressure that feels rehearsed. When Yildiz scored his first Champions League goal against PSV, many supporters immediately recalled Del Piero's iconic finishes. Same curve, same economy of motion. It wasn't imitation, it was instinct. Del Piero's influence on Juventus transcended numbers. He symbolized loyalty, grace, and leadership through the club's highs and lows. For Yildiz, those comparisons serve both as inspiration and burden. The shadow of a legend can uplift or overwhelm, depending on how a player responds. So far, Yildiz has answered with maturity, acknowledging the history without being defined by it. Technically, his game blends heritage and evolution. He plays primarily off the left or as a second striker, driving inward onto his right foot. His dribbling is sharp, almost minimalist, no wasted movement. Rather than showboating, he uses feints and body angles to manipulate defenders. His passing vision is subtle, often favoring quick combinations that open defensive lines. Analysts note his pressing intensity and high recovery rates, evidence that he values the unseen parts of the game as much as the highlight moments. Physically, he is strong and balanced, standing over 6 feet tall but moving with agility uncommon for his frame. This allows him to hold play when required and burst past markers when space opens. His finishing shows variety, curled efforts from distance, composed one-on-ones, and instinctive rebounds inside the box. For a teenager, the tactical range is remarkable. Mentally, he appears unfazed by expectation. Whether stepping into a derby against Inter or a Champions League night against Dortmund, he performs with the same calm rhythm. Against Inter, he scored twice from open play in a high-pressure draw, moments that signaled not only technique but temperament. He thrives under tension rather than shrinking from it, a trait coaches describe as composed aggression. Comparisons to Del Piero are most visible in these psychological moments, not because of identical play styles, but because both treat pressure as a familiar companion. Del Piero once embodied Juventus's resilience through crisis. Yildiz represents its renewal. Their connection is not replication, but continuity, each standing for a different era's version of the same ideal, artistry that serves purpose. Beyond the aesthetic similarities, Yıldız's evolution aligns with the modern demands of European football. He presses relentlessly, contributes defensively, and adapts to multiple systems. Where Del Piero thrived in structured, possession-heavy setups, Yildiz flourishes in dynamic transitions and high-tempo phases. He belongs to a generation shaped by fluid tactics, by versatility, by the expectation that every forward contributes in every phase. His teammates and coaches describe him as observant, a player who listens more than he speaks, studies the rhythm of training, and adjusts quickly. Those who have worked with him note his maturity in feedback sessions, his ability to self-correct errors without ego. It's a personality that suits Juventus's evolving culture, ambitious but grounded. Still, his journey is far from complete. The famous number 10 shirt carries both promise and pressure. Every missed chance is magnified, every substitution debated. Yet Yildiz approaches it as an opportunity rather than a weight. When asked about it in interviews, he often says he feels honored but focused on improving. The balance of humility and ambition may prove decisive in his development. The discussion around his potential naturally leads to wider speculation. Pundits and former players have suggested that, if nurtured correctly, Yildiz possesses the profile of a future Ballon d'Or contender, not as a prediction, but as acknowledgement of his ceiling. It's a single line in a larger narrative, a reminder of how rare it is for a player so young to already shape a club's direction. In the present, his influence extends beyond goals. Watch Juventus play, and you see how his movement draws defenders, how his gravity creates space for others. He has become a reference point in attack, the player teammates look for in tight moments. His link-up with Dusan Vlahovic continues to mature, balancing power and precision. Each performance adds another layer of experience, another small proof that Juventus's faith was justified. There is also a symbolic dimension to his story. Juventus, long known for discipline and structure, now find expression in a player who represents creativity and freedom. In Yildiz, the club sees not only a footballer but a direction, a statement that artistry still belongs in their identity. The wider football community has taken notice. Analysts praise his composure and tactical intelligence. Former professionals highlight his confidence, and supporters, both in Italy and Turkey, have embraced him as a shared emblem of two cultures united by talent. His decision to represent Turkey internationally speaks to his roots, a connection that deepens his story beyond club football. Yildiz's development also mirrors Juventus's own evolution. The club, rebuilding after years of transition, is investing in youth, in long-term planning, and in a brand of football that balances control with creativity. In that sense, Yildiz is not merely part of the project. He is its proof of concept. His progress reflects the belief that a new Juventus can emerge without abandoning its traditions. Every highlight, every goal, every touch reminds fans of what first drew them to the game. Elegance meeting determination. His journey from Regensburg's local fields to Juventus's grand stage carries lessons in patience, adaptation, and resilience. As with all young stars, the future holds uncertainty. Injuries, competition, and tactical changes can alter paths quickly. But what distinguishes Yildiz is how grounded his rise feels. Nothing about his story relies on hype. It rests on steady progression. Each step has been earned. When supporters compare him to Del Piero, they are not simply recalling nostalgia, they are responding to something deeper. That familiar sense of artistry under pressure, of balance between humility and brilliance. Del Piero carried Juventus through adversity. Yildiz may guide it into renewal. What lies ahead cannot be scripted. But whether he lifts trophies or not, Kenan Yildiz has already given Juventus something invaluable: belief in the next generation. In a football era obsessed with instant results, his story is a reminder that greatness often begins quietly, shaped by discipline and character before fame ever arrives. From the quiet parks of Regensburg to the lights of Turin, Kenan Yildiz has traveled a path defined by precision and persistence. Still at the dawn of his career, he carries both the weight of expectation and the freedom of youth. For Juventus, he represents more than a player. He represents continuity, the next verse in a song that began decades ago with legends who wore the same colors. Whether or not he ever matches their records, his presence has already rekindled something essential: the belief that beauty and effectiveness can still coexist in black and white.